Hello there. Welcome into another month and a highlighted distillery. This month it is Blacksmith. We sit down with Russ Broker and we play a game. And we talk about the lucky number 7, the Missouri Bourbon laws, and that size matters. In reference to barrels, that is. Cue the music. Welcome, bourbon aficionados, enthusiasts, and curious sippers alike, to Sip Wiselee, a podcast brought to you by the St. Charles Bourbon Society. My name is Jonathan Lee, and I will serve as your guide on this journey through the wonderful world of bourbon. Whether you are a seasoned connoisseur or just beginning to explore the depths of this flavorful spirit, our podcast is your passport to discovery, education, and pure enjoyment. Here, we'll dive into the history, craftsmanship, and flavors that make bourbon more than just a drink. It's a culture, a passion, and a way of life. Join us as we uncork the stories behind your favorite distilleries, uncover the secrets of barrel aging, and decode the complexities of tasting notes and flavor profiles. Each episode is crafted with care to inform, entertain, and inspire your own bourbon journey. So, grab your favorite glass, pour yourself some of your go-to bourbon, and join us as we raise a toast to the finer things in life. From barrel to bottle and glass to lips, let's sip wisely. Cheers. Good day, my bourbon friends. My name is Jonathan Lee, and I am the host of the Sip Wiselee Podcast. It is August 1st, which means, yes, it is time for a new distillery. This month, we will be highlighting Blacksmith Distillery. Now, some of you may be going, what in the world? I'll tell you what, this is a hidden gem right here in Middle Missouri that if you haven't seen on a shelf or at a restaurant, you need to go hunting for it because it is rather delicious. And I get to sit down with Russ Broker, who is a CEO of sorts. According to the website, he's the Chief Experience Officer, and he does tell us a lot about the different experiences and experiments. So maybe he's Chief Experiment Officer as well, that he's doing with his spirit and bourbons and whiskeys and whatnot. It's a great conversation, just like the last ones I've had. If you have not been caught up yet, this is our 4th month already. Time is just flying by. Every time I listen to these initial episodes, I was like, man, I learned a lot in 4 months. If you missed the first one, it was still 6:30 with David. Definitely worth checking out here in St. Louis. Great. We went across the state for episode 3. Ben Holiday, always a great pour. And then we went to one of my go-tos, Green River, out of Owensboro for episode number 5. And so this is episode 7, talking about Blacksmith. And we play a little bit of a game. And then we talk about just his go-to pours. We talk about how they got into the business, his family, rather large family. And it's just a great conversation, so I won't spoil all of those items here. I just want to remind you that we do love the interaction piece. We want this to be a connected show and community. So if you've tried Blacksmith or you want to go try it, you find it and you do try it, or you've heard some things and whatnot, post on social media. Follow us on Facebook, catch us on Instagram or X, and tell us what your thoughts are. We'd love to see what you're thinking, and maybe even share it down the road on a future episode. If you do like the episode and what you're learning through this show, please share with your others out on your social media or through your podcast feed. We'd greatly appreciate that. And don't forget, the 15th of the month is our tasting episode. So if you are like, this Blacksmith does sound kind of good, I recommend heading over to the show notes or to their website, which is linked in our show notes, finding out where you can find this product, grab a bottle, and start tasting it. So you're prepared for the 15th month, the tasting episode, which is always a lot of fun as well. So, all right. That's enough. Let's get in here more from the Chief Experience Officer of Blacksmith, Russ Broker. Enjoy the show. Today's episode is proudly brought to you by A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road in St. Peters, Missouri, your ultimate bourbon destination. Explore their exclusive single barrels, handpicked for unparalleled flavor. They also offer bourbon education classes where you'll unlock the secrets of this beloved spirit. But wait, there's more. With their exclusive reward system, you can gain access to premier allocated bottles, ensuring you never miss out on the finest selections. While we're on the topic of bourbon, let's not forget about their incredible selection of wines and other spirits, including rum, tequila, and vodka. So whether you're in the mood for a classic bourbon or something a little different, A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road in St. Peters, Missouri has you covered. That's A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road in St. Peters, Missouri, where the selection is vast and prices are great, allowing you to sip wisely. All right, welcome into another episode, and I have another awesome guest with us, and it's Russ Broker from the Blacksmith Distillery. Russ, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
I'm excited to be here and excited to have you with us and learn more about Blacksmith, because what I have learned already through my research, it's a pretty cool story, and so we're happy to have your story here. And before we get into it, though, tell us a little bit about you so the audience can get to know you.
Well, very good. So I live here in Lake St. Louis. We have our distillery at my dad's farm just outside of Jefferson City. We are 5 years old legally, and we are still the only licensed distillery in Cole County. So I've been around whiskeys and bourbon 20 some years. Always enjoyed the whiskeys. It's kind of funny. I'm the fifth of seven kids, and my dad, you can imagine, with seven kids and living on a farm, we didn't have a lot of premium whiskeys and things like that to drink. So when Dad would get a thing of maybe a fifth or a pint or something, we all still joke about it now, how he'd hide it in one of his boots in his closet, and every now and then he'd go dip into it for a holiday, and as we got older, teenagers, we'd maybe go in there and sneak into his boots and try to get one out and take a nip off of it. But always enjoyed that, and even in college, I'd enjoy taking something here or there. Of course, add to your beer drinking and speed things along. But it wasn't until I was probably in my 20s that I started playing with blended whiskeys and the sweeter cocktails, Crown Royal and Coke, that kind of thing. But that eventually went just a straight up bourbon neat, and haven't turned back.
Yeah, that's good. It took me a little longer in life. I'm only on my fifth year, basically. So, took me 40 years to get used to bourbon. But, that's good. My first story was on an airplane with my father, who loved Crown. And I was still thirsty, and he gave me his rocks, and I almost spit it back and hit somebody in the back of the head because it's disgusting. But for a 17-year-old, I think it was like, that's not my cup of tea, but it apparently is now. So, but all right. So you've been around for about 20 years for bourbon, and you typically said you like it neat, right?
Yes, I do.
Seems to be the way to go. I'm getting there. I still have to throw in some ice every once in a while, but I know for the good stuff, you can't have any ice. You have to have it neat. So I'm getting better at doing all that. But what are your go-to pours?
For dailies that are reasonably priced, I'm a big fan of Elijah Craig, their product line. The first tour I ever did was Heaven Hill, and that was before we were legal. So we were still trying to learn a lot about distilling. and really just became fascinated with a lot of the things that they did. So our main product line is the same mash bill as theirs. We've got it toasted just like they do. So it really was something that I've always enjoyed. That and then Evan Williams bottled and bond, always a reasonably good pour, tastes great. You can always count on it. Now if I have something that I can choose and find, big fan of Stag Junior. Really enjoy that. I did get a chance once to try the William LaRue Weller, and that was just dreamlike. I thought that was just absolutely amazing. I do like the Weller line, not so much the standard green label. I mean, it's fine, but I'm not going to go seek it out. But
that's the only one you can ever find. It seems like.
Yeah, that and the antique, right?
Yeah, no, the antique. I was really close to getting an antique, but I was too polite and did not get it. Was at a Total Wine, and I saw it on their little barrel, and a guy was standing in front of the barrel trying to decide on what he wanted to do. And I was like, all right, I want to grab that from you, but I don't want to be rude. And then this guy comes behind me and reaches over both of us and grabs it. I'm like, oh, I guess that's what you got to do is be mean. No, lesson learned. No, but yep, I love the Elijah Craig off Heaven Hill. I was there last year, 2 years ago now, maybe, and it was a great experience. Even my wife enjoyed it, and that's a great one to model it off of for sure.
Yeah, I'm also a huge fan of the Knob Creek. Just they're always a solid pour. Whether it's the 100 or the 120, really enjoy them both.
Yeah, I like the 100 better than the 120. It's almost a little too strong for me, but every once in a while I can handle the 120, I guess. Definitely not a daily sipper like you were talking about with the Evan Williams bottle and bond kind of thing.
Well, I tell people because we offer a barrel proof version, and I get a lot of people that aren't big whiskey drinkers when I do my tasting events all over the place and festivals and whatnot. And there's an awful lot of people that don't really like anything even higher than 90. And my standard response is, look, the most flavor period for any whiskey or bourbon is cask strength. And you don't order your soda, your lemonade, or your iced tea pre-watered down. You make it how you're supposed to make it. And if you forget about it, walk away and all the ice melts, you throw it out. Mm-hmm. So why would you get something from a distillery that they chose to water it down to what they thought? If it's too strong for you at cask strength, that's no problem. Add ice or water until it's right at what you want. And you don't know if that's 93, 96, 89. It's the only way to know.
Yep. No, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I never thought made the relation to soda, and I'm not supposed to be drinking that anyway. But if it gets too watered down, nope, toss it out. I usually get mine with no ice because I don't want I get that neat, but I don't get my whiskey neat. But yeah, no, that's a good point. I've gotten in the habit, especially now since I'm doing the blog posts and making some, rookie reviews and whatnot, and I tried it with all levels, with the neat, with a little bit of water, and it's very neat to see, interesting, just to taste the difference. So just a little bit of water can add and change to that profile.
But if you really want to do something to mess with your mind, get a couple of friends over and pick one or two select bourbons, and then have bottled water that's mineral water, and then spring water, and then tap water, and do the difference. The different mineral content will result in different results.
Huh. That'd be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
So just that little bit of change, which completely change the taste of the whiskey.
It does. Yeah, the minerals when they drop in can just have a difference in how the water or the whiskey opens up, and definitely on the nose it'll make a difference. You can kind of watch it how it disperses. The heavier minerals make a big difference.
Interesting. Well, that sounds like a fun game to play. Let's play a game as well, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So I think this game is actually like trademark. So we're just going to say it's would you rather this or that? And I think this is a tough one because of what we're talking about with bourbon and distilling it and tasting it and all that. So if you were given the option, would you rather lose your sense of taste or lose your sense of smell?
Well, maybe if I lost my sense of taste, I could lose that final 20 pounds. But
It's possible. Yeah,
you
bacon
know,
wouldn't taste so much so good, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. But you know what? When you think about smells, you think almost there are equally as many bad smells as there are good smells. And you don't typically think that when it comes to food. Uh, I mean, obviously there are some bad flavors, but I think I would rather lose the smell. I mean, it would greatly impact my ability to be a distiller. We use that every day that you're distilling, but the and of course, how much would that in fact impact your flavor if you didn't have any smell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but
That'd be tough. That's a good choice. I think it's a good choice, though. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry,
yeah,
to cut you off.
no worries. Yeah, but I think that's what I would go with.
Yeah, that's probably a good choice. I know having young kids now 6 and 8, but they're in diapers. I wish I didn't have a sense of smell sometimes for sure. So that would have come in handy. But yeah, that would be a hard one for me. I mean, I agree with the whole losing some pounds. Of course, I thought not drinking would allow me to lose some pounds, but that didn't work out. That just meant that I ate more. Um, but but yeah, so that's smell would definitely probably be my choice as well. But I'll be interested to see what others say. But yeah, it's good. So let's learn more about the history of Blacksmith Distillery. Tell me, you kind of mentioned it with your dad having all the kids and getting that way, but that's just the tip of the iceberg there. Tell me a little bit more about where this all came from.
Sure. Our story's, I think, fairly unique. I'm the fifth of seven kids, and my dad is the seventh of seven kids. So huge family. And then, of course, his siblings either had one or seven. So I've got an immense amount of cousins. But anyway, he grew up in Frankenstein, Missouri. Most people have no idea where that is.
I had to look it up. Yep, I had to look it up. I know where it is now, but I had to look it up.
Well, if you're a Mel Brooks fan, Mel Brooks, the movie producer and all that, his movie Young Frankenstein, I think it was their 30th anniversary. He actually flew 30 men over Frankenstein, Missouri, dressed as Frankenstein, and they all skydove over the town.
Awesome.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my grandfather, Mike Broker, Senior, he was a blacksmith, and he also had a sawmill, and he had a still, and he'd keep it underneath the sawmill pile. It'd get hot, and it would be hidden, whatever. So Dad had my dad is Mike Broker Jr., and he had a handwritten recipe of my grandfather's corn whiskey. So we didn't find out until much later in life that my dad had this crazy bucket list of items that he wanted, typical stuff that everybody wants, a canoe, a banjo, and a still, that kind of stuff. So when we found that out, we're like, well, shoot, let's find somebody to make a still. And of course, where would you go? Well, like everybody, we went right to Knights of Columbus, found a guy there locally that we knew made stills, and we made one for my dad for his 70th birthday. And we're all kind of type A salesman type personalities. So that first batch, we used a 5-gallon double walled antique milk can, and we got a quart out of it. We're like, well, wow, that was an awful lot of work to get a quart. So we quickly moved on to 55-gallon drums. My dad had bought for $10 at an auction somewhere. And that's what we used for the next couple of years. We made mash tun out of one and a still out of the other, and did this for 3 or 4 years. And folks kind of liked what we were doing and, wanted to buy it, which of course you can't do. But Missouri, if you didn't know, is the only state in the union that allows you to legally make 100 gallons per person for personal use. You can't sell it, but they do. I mean, I don't know of any country that does it, but Missouri is the only state in the country that allows that. So we were legal doing it. And then one day we said, you know what, we should probably try to see if we get our license and go from there. We anticipated it would be a lengthy process, but it was not. 7 months after we applied, we were licensed, and then we didn't know what the hell we were going to do. And so we converted a 1950 dairy barn there on my dad's farm, and that's where we are today, while we're just now breaking ground on a new facility.
Okay, very neat. So a lot to unpack right there. So you are child 5 of 7.
Right.
And your dad was 7 of 7. So is there something significant about the number 7 other than it's lucky, I guess? So,
No, I don't know. That's just how things worked out, you know.
Do you have 7 kids?
Oh God, no. No,
Okay.
I have three.
So it stopped. All right. All right. So you stopped it. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
My mom loved to argue with all of us though. I said, the more kids you have, the more they entertain each other. And I was like, you know what? You keep saying that, but I'm not dealing with that.
I guess that's true to a point. Yeah. Until they all gang up on you and you never win. But yeah. All right. And so the other one I had was your father was a junior. And so is it all sisters before that, the first six, or he just waited until the seventh kid to call a junior?
Actually, no, he had one sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just waited so this is just to confirm this is the last kid we're gonna have. It's a junior, we're done.
I think maybe that was it because he was very, very late. His mother was, I think, 40 when she had him. He was an uncle three or four times over when he was born.
Wow. Oh, it's yeah. I come from a family of small family, and my father's got one sibling. My mother's got three. But it's just two of us when I was growing up, and then we've got two here now. So I couldn't imagine having seven running around like you said, around on a farm of seven. Oh man, that would just be yeah. I mean, I guess you have a lot of work hands there. That'd be helpful, I guess.
Yeah, my mom was the fifth of five. So,
Oh goodness gracious. Yeah, big family reunions then, huh?
oh my, yes.
All right, so you get your drums and you start distilling. You're using a mash bill now from Elijah Craig. Is that what you started with, or were you just experimenting with different ones when you?
That's what we started with. And so our Black Anvil line of bourbons remains to be that same mash bill. I also have a 60-30-10 high rye bourbon. And then we do a wheated bourbon that we age in, or I finish in secondary with Amberana and yellow birch. And that's been our most popular since I rolled it out last August.
Okay. Yeah, that's really kind of one of the most fascinating things that I find is one that everybody shares their mash bill. And I was even out on tour a couple weeks ago over at the Holiday Distillery, and a newbie, I would assume, said, "So how come you're giving out the mash bill? Isn't that like some coveted secret?" And they're like, "No, go ahead. Here's the mash bill, and like you said, and distill it and make it your own and see what it tastes. It's not going to taste the same." And I think that's just amazing. That you can have the same exact ingredients, but because of where you have it, the length, and all of that stuff, completely different product.
Oh yeah, your water supply, the barrels you use, how you distill it, the weather around it when you're aging it makes significant differences. We use, and this was by choice for multiple reasons, but we use the majority 3, 5, and 10 gallon barrels. Select ones we use 15 gallon because of the Missouri Bourbon law. You have to use a barrel assembled in Missouri, and nobody in Missouri makes small barrels. Anything smaller than 15. So we're just getting ready to roll out our first ever Missouri straight bourbon whiskey. And those are in 15s, of course.
But tell me more. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it costs us about 4 times as much on barrels doing it that way. But we're only open on the weekends, and we have 100 gallons still. So when you're only cranking out 16 gallons a weekend, it doesn't make any sense to fill a 53. It'd take you a month and a half to do it. And, you can only count the age as the youngest juice in the barrel. So that would be fruitless for us, and we wouldn't have had anything to sell for, good Lord, years.
Yeah. Yes, that's all stuff that I still need to learn. 15 gallons, 5, all that sounds big, but then I can't keep it all straight. I need to start writing stuff down, I guess. But so the actual drums, the ones we typically see at the distillery, those are
53.
53. Thank you. I was going to say 55, but 53 gallons. So, but you typically run 15 gallons. But that's coming from 100 gallons of actual product. Is that what you said?
Well, 100 gallons still means you're putting 100 gallons of mash in.
Yeah.
So what comes out of that as finished product is, let's just say you're going to get 15 gallons of juice out of a 100-gallon mash.
15%. That's not a good margin there.
No, no. And maybe if you've got, high end equipment, you're going to get, 20%, but still
Yeah.
20%, 20 gallons, and if we use, like we started using nothing but 3 gallon, and a 3 gallon barrel has eight and a half times the surface area from wood to spirit as a 53. So in theory, it ages 8.5 times faster, which truly it does.
Hmm.
And it comes out. We're done with a 3 gallon barrel in 6 to 8 months.
Okay. Wow. So the smaller the barrel, the faster it'll age.
Yes,
Okay.
because the more of the juice is touching wood. You got its giant barrel. That juice is not touching the edges. It's more smaller. You got less liquid to touch it. So this makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, think back to my physics days and all that. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. That's pretty neat. So, tell me a little bit more about this Missouri bourbon you got coming out soon.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. I mean, we couldn't decide when to put enough away because, well, the way we were doing it, we never wanted to go into a store where we weren't going to be able to continue supplying them. We just told ourselves we weren't going to do that, and so we've done very, very controlled growth. So we always wanted to make sure we had enough. So finally, we were getting to a point where we were able to put some aside, and it became 2 years old, I guess, 3 weeks ago. So we're finalizing our new label, and we hope to have that out probably next week, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
And for us, some people don't think it's a big deal, but to have your first straight bourbon whiskey is a big deal for a small distillery.
Yeah, I would think that'd be a pretty big deal. I mean, if you don't think it's a big deal, then what are you doing, right? No. Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. So to call it Missouri straight bourbon whiskey, what are the qualifications then?
So, the standard things that apply to just to be a bourbon has to be 51% corn, has to be in a new charred oak barrel or vessel, and for Missouri, the grain has to be from Missouri. The barrel has to be assembled in Missouri, and it has to be aged in Missouri. So, we're doing all those things, and it's actually far more strict than Kentucky standards. They don't have any requirements for where the barrel's made or assembled, or where the grain comes from.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting add to the law. I guess if your goal is to promote and grow Missouri, then that all makes sense. I guess we're also lucky that most of Kentucky's barrels, I'll say most, I don't know the percentage, but a lot of Kentucky's barrels come from Missouri.
The wood certainly does. Yeah.
Yep. So we have that going for us, which is pretty neat. I heard that a lot when we were down touring in Kentucky. We get our barrels from Lebanon, Missouri, whatever that's Cooperage down there.
IFC. Yeah.
Yep. And so that's pretty neat. But yeah, so all the corn's got to be from there. And so is there a minimum age? Is it 2 years? Is that why you waited 2 years? Or
to be straight anything, it has to be aged 2 years.
Gotcha.
So straight rye, straight corn, straight bourbon has to be 2 years.
So that's what that straight basically means, 2 minimum.
Yeah.
Okay. Very neat. Yeah, that'd be exciting. I'll have to catch up with you and give that a try. I've had your snow day. That one was delicious for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there anything special behind that?
Well, I was fascinated with the Amberana, the ADI, the American Distilling Institute conference was in St. Louis. Gosh, I guess that was 2.5 years ago, maybe. And as I was leaving, I walked by a booth and they had all these different woods. And I love to do flavors. So I do a lot of custom labels for people like Grillo's Chop and Barrel here in Lake St. Louis. I've been fortunate enough to do their anniversary blends for them and create new flavors. And I've done several for the beer sauce locations. And I love that challenge. And so coming up with something new, and the exotic woods and the flavors was always something very interesting to me. Well, this booth had a bunch of them, and I took this little 1-inch square of wood that I'd never heard of, Brazilian Amberana oak. I just put it in my stuff and brought it home and sat in my kitchen for, I don't know, a week and a half or whatever. And I opened the bag up, and the smell of this thing was amazing. I was like, man, I got to play with this. So I just dropped it in a mason jar and put some whiskey in there, and I had no expectations, nothing. A week later, I opened it up and it just punched me in the face with the nose and aroma, and then the taste. I was just flabbergasted. So then I went and did some research and discovered that the 2018 Beer of the Year award globally was aged in this barrel. Now the barrels are $1,000 a piece,
Wow.
empty. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
But I started researching where I could get the staves. I really like doing things in controlled lots of 5 gallons. Again, we're quite small, but when you do them in controlled 5-gallon increments, and those staves, you can really make sure that they are all similar, taste alike, instead of just doing it in a barrel or something, they're completely different from one to another. So we did this, and it really turned out beautifully. And I felt that not just the Amburana by itself, but just from looking at the different flavor profiles, that yellow birch would blend well with it. And it does give it that little touch of honey at the end, and I think it mellows some of the Amburana notes.
That's very interesting. So I want that to bleed into my next question, but I'm going to hold on to that because you got another one that came out recently that I want you to share about too. Before, as we were preparing for this recording, you mentioned you had a festival you're going to down in Washington, Missouri. You recall that conversation?
We just had that, yes.
Yep. So tell me about that. Well, one, the festival, because you did something special for that festival, I believe, right? And then the bourbon that you brought to it.
So we were invited to a World War II museum fundraising opening in Washington. It was actually held in the Axe Depot, which is I believe it's an 1865 train station. It's just a very cool building right there along the tracks, obviously, in Washington. But they are opening a World War II museum in Washington. And what I found so very cool down there is there's so many people in the area that are, have a World War II veteran in their family, or did have, and they have artifacts. And I was talking to some of these folks. They're like, they're family mementos and things like that, but we don't have them on display. We put them in a box, or my aunt has them in a box, or whatever. And so we thought, well, no one's looking at them. Why don't we donate them? And so all these people are donating these things that are very, very cool for everyone else to come and see. And I just thought that was terrific. But anyway, my sister actually came up with this idea, my sister Leah. And so my dad, again, 7th to 7, 4 of his older brothers went to World War II. And so we came up with 4 Brothers whiskey. And it's a blend of 4 of our whiskeys in different increments. And the label is his 4 brothers' service record photos. And I tell you what, veterans just love it.
Oh, I bet. I've seen the photo. It looks awesome. I can only imagine how it tastes as well. But what a great commemorative for that particular event.
Yeah, it really was. And I love it when people try it. I really like it when I see a vet come by, with one of their pristine hats on, whether it's Vietnam or whatever it is. Yeah. And I show them what it is and tell them and ask them if they want to taste it. And many of them just say, nope, I'll take a bottle. We've actually had some customers just gush over it and say, would you do the same for my family members? And we've recreated the label with their images.
Wow, that's awesome. So you customize things for the customers, huh? That's pretty cool.
We do. Yeah, we've done probably 15 different weddings. We'll do the wedding photo, the engagement photo, and laserettes the couple's names and dates on the side, or we'll do corporate gifts. We'll do logos and all kinds of things on there. Not just a little sticker that says barrel picked for, with the whole front label for them. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. That's awesome. I've not heard anyone else do that, but that's pretty neat. So, going back to my transition that I didn't use, but I'm going to use it now. You used that wood block and you came up with the taste of Snow Day. You've got a pretty cool thing on your website where you can kind of create, it's like a tasting kit, or I can't remember the name of it now. But
make your own whiskey.
Make your own whiskey kit. It's like some kind of kit.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that you just put in different staves inside a jar and that. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, I came up with this idea 5, 6 years ago. It's basically just a standard quart mason jar. So that's 32 ounces, right? Your standard fifth is 25, maybe 25.5 ounces. So you could pick straight up vodka, white dog, anything unaged, and dump it in there. And what is included in this kit is a charred white oak stave and a bottle of concentrated bourbon essence. If you want, there's dozens of essence bottles out there. You can get rye whiskey, honey whiskey, cinnamon whiskey, whatever you want. But the ones that I traditionally sell are just the standard bourbon whiskey. And you dump your vodka in there, put half or the whole bottle of essence, whatever you want. Put the stave in there, put the lid on, stick it in your kitchen window, whatever. A couple of weeks, you'll have whiskey. And I I do these. Well, they used to be the beer sauce festivals. Now they're the Brothers Beer and Bourbon festivals. And I had one of their customers tell me that he put a bottle of Grey Goose in there, and he said it was the most delicious whiskey he'd ever had.
Really?
I got quite the kick out of. But the fun thing about it is you could really customize it yourself. If you really enjoy a vanilla forward whiskey, as an example, drop a vanilla bean or a couple drops of vanilla extract in there. If you like, some butterscotch, drop a Werther's Original or something like that in there, and it just add the nuance, whatever you like. And I mean, obviously you can do that with your own whiskey, but while you're aging it, it's fun. Now, I put just a standard white oak charred stave in there, but I also have French oak staves, toasted French oak staves. I've got 8 different exotic staves that you could try. So, I was doing a class at St. Charles Community College on distilling, and at the final part of that, everybody got to make their own kit and pick what kind of char, what kind of essence, and build their own kit to take home.
That sounds awesome. Just yesterday, I cleaned out one of our cabinets in the kitchen because we have so many mason jars that my wife, every time we go through a apple butter one, we have to clean it and then keep it, and so I'm like, we got to do something with these, and I'm pretty sure she recycled them because I told her to. I'm gonna have to go get those out of the recycling bin and start do some experimenting. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It is, and anybody that buys the little 1 and 2 liter barrels off of Amazon to try the same kind of thing in, I would recommend not. I've heard nothing but horror stories about the majority of those.
Really?
I used to have six of them, and they're generally, I'm not going to say everybody, but generally they're made so poorly. They're almost only for decor. They don't hold liquid well, and people will put stuff in them, sometimes expensive stuff, put them in a closet, and because you don't want to sit it out in your kitchen, and you come back and there's just a mess. So you can do the same things and in a couple mason jars and never worry about it.
That's cool. Yeah, I've definitely thought about getting a barrel online, but I'm like, that seems too easy. So that's no, I don't want to have a big mess in my attic or where I end up putting it. So that's good. That's good advice there. So we'll come down to the end of our show here. What else anything else you want to share with the audience that makes Blacksmith stand out?
Well, we do a lot of customization. When I talk about barrels now, I was just saying about those little ones on Amazon, because we use the 3 and 5 gallon, and you can only use it once for bourbon. I sell our used barrels, and they're very, very, very high quality. They're the same quality of the 53s that the big distilleries use. I generally have them for sale at any time. They're great for both displays and for aging, but they're not that little bitty 1 liter. They're, a little bit bigger. I can also customize them, put your logo on them, anything that you want on them. I can put a spigot on them and make them a decanter. They're just a lot of fun. But the customization, that kind of stuff is really great. And what else I would say is that we're still quite small. As I indicated earlier, we're breaking ground on our new facility that hopefully we have done by the end of the year, and some larger stills, bigger equipment, and more capacity. So we have great hopes for next year that we're in more than 55 stores and bars and restaurants, and can really expand a bit more. Right now, we're pretty much only in the Jefferson City and larger areas, since that's where the distillery is. And then I live here in Lake St. Louis, so we're all around this area. But we are the distillers, the salesmen, and the delivery guys. So Until then, we'll we'll have to keep a limit on our expansion. But yeah, look at our website, check us out, give us a call. We do tours Saturday and Sunday only from 10 to 2. But love to see more folk coming out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely will have to make it out that way and need to learn a lot more about the distillery. It sounds awesome, and I'm glad you were able to come on and share that with our audience. And um, I was totally going to close it out some other way, but I forgot. So, it's the way it goes, right?
Right.
But no, I think growing it that way, that's going to be really cool. And this is the bourbon for the month. So, check out Blacksmith Distillery if you're in the Missouri, St. Louis, Jeff City area. We are going to talk about it in the middle of the month as well, and have a taste of some of these. And so, can't wait for that. And thanks for coming on with me. I appreciate it, Russ.
Well, thanks for inviting me. And anybody still listening, come out to Kirkwood Park this Saturday and see me for the Brothers Beer and Bourbon House Festival.
Absolutely. All right. Well, there you have it. A great conversation with Russ Broker. Yes, I know at the end he invited you to a festival that has already happened. Truth be told, I did record this, or we recorded this way back in, I believe it was April. So it's been sitting on the shelf waiting to get published because, we do once a month, and I had quite a few accept the recordings here early on. And so we've got a few more waiting in the wings, and so I apologize for that. And I was going to try to cut it out, but it just didn't sound good because it was a continuous sentence, and so I wanted to go ahead. I just went ahead and left it in there. But no worries, Russ. He's at all kinds of festivals, so if you missed that one, he's at a bunch of them. In fact, he was at our first festival, the Show Me Mo Bourbon, in June, and it was a great experience. He had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun having him, and so be on the lookout. They are everywhere here in St. Louis and mid-Missouri, so check them out. It's definitely a great taste. Definitely worth trying and picking up a bottle for your shelf. Surprise some of your friends with those because they probably haven't heard of Blacksmith. They are small, like Russ said, but they are delicious. And he's always tinkering and testing new things. Definitely gotten my mason jars out and putting some bottles on the windowsills. Wife hasn't been too happy, but she does her sun tea. It's not a whole lot different, except it sits there a little longer than sun tea does. But hey, whatever. So hopefully you enjoyed what we talked about, and I would go to their website, check out their spice enhancer kits, their private label program. I definitely plan on doing that as well because why wouldn't I want my own label, right? Well, okay, maybe I won't do that, but we'll see. Maybe it's a birthday, Christmas present coming down the road. But big shout out to Russ for joining me. He's always been super helpful and willing to have a conversation and provide a great experience. I can't wait to share the tasting episode with you that is coming up on the 15th of the month. So if you have not gotten a bottle for your display, your shelf, your bar, now's the time to go out and find out where you can get it. There is some at A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road, of course. I'm not sure how much they have right now because, again, they are small, but you can go check them out. If it's not there, we'll try to get it there as quickly as we can. But otherwise, on their website, it does say where to buy, so you can find out the different locations that they are in right now. He mentioned a couple of them in the show, but in case you missed those or those aren't close to you, you can go to their website and find more of that. Now, that website is linked in our show notes. It's in your podcast feed. You can click right on that, take you directly to the website. So there you go. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, X. Glad to hear from you. Share us with your thoughts on Blacksmith. We're coming down to a few more months. I've got a couple more sitting on the shelf, but always looking for ideas. Is there a distillery that you want me to reach out to and highlight in the coming month? So let me know on the socials. I'll be happy to try to connect with folks and get a show for the distillery down the road. All right. Thanks again for checking it out. Share with your friends if you believe they would enjoy it. And we'll see you on the 15th for the Blacksmith tasting episode. Cheers. Thank you for tuning in to the Sip Wiselee Podcast. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button to get the latest episodes. Don't forget to visit our website at stcharlesbourbonsociety.com for the show notes. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share them on social media. Follow us on all platforms by searching for St. Charles Bourbon Society. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge to sip wisely. Cheers.